Have a meal.
Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. Drogbaba will be in the building very, very soon. He's just running a little bit late. So much to discuss. And we will get straight into it. Younes, the cast and crew, how are you doing, sir? How are you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, it's been a very eventful 48 hours. I knew I came back to Twitter just in time. I knew it was perfect. And yeah, apart from that, aside from Chelsea and the madness and that Liverpool game and everything that went down, personally, I'm good. It's cold, as we discussed, and waiting for that to disappear. Life is all right.
Yeah, Miss, it sounds like you've been the talk of the town for the last 48, 72 hours. The man in the Chelsea community, how are you doing, sir?
It's actually been quite wild. Firstly, thank you to Younes massively on his latest video to put in a good word, I guess, for me. But yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. The abuse. I can't believe, like, for a player that's been so poor for over close to 16 months, you'd think I went after like prime Eden Hazard or something, or I went after like someone who's on top of their game. Like it was mad, that kind of abuse, and it's still going. I just mute them. I don't give the pleasure to block them, so they know that they're not blocked, but I just don't see them anymore. So
I've told everyone the mute button is a beautiful button. Indeed. I feel like now that I cover, or I try to cover multiple clubs, I feel like I'm not always as in sync with what is going on in the Chelsea community, which I don't even think is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a pleasure. I think it's a pleasure.
I didn't know my thing was gonna like blow up the way it did. Like
it's on 1.5 million now.
Yeah, like I like it was a pure straight after the match
emotional moment.
Yeah, like I was so flabbergasted and shocked at what I saw from Mount. I was like, dude, I know you've been playing bad. It sort of became like a normal situation for me. Like I don't even bring that up as a topic anymore. Mount played bad. Yeah, that's normal. But that against Liverpool, I was like, dude, that's a new level of bad now. Like, that was bad what you were doing. People didn't really bat an eyelid. But Liverpool, so then when I saw that compilation, which was floating around in my timeline, I didn't know people were going to take this compilation so seriously. I just merely saw that and I'm like, I'm astonished. I'm really astonished.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Now that I've seen what you posted, I kind of saw that coming.
Wait, the same clip?
Yeah.
The same clip was floating about, I think, on like a Nigerian big account or something, and they added like some like funny sound effects to it, and it blew up like on that side of the spectrum. So it's not just everywhere.
It's because they see Miz as a YouTuber, an influencer. I hate that word personally. I think it's a disgusting term. Makes me vomit. But yeah, they'll see you as a content creator / YouTuber / social media kind of guy, and they'll see you upload that clip, and they'll be like, he's playing against us. That's what they'll be thinking.
Matisse, a lot of people thought I edited that video.
Yeah, that you made it.
And let me tell you why. So I watched Younes's video, right? And I went back and traced the whole crime scene, as they say, right? The FBI investigation. And I said to the people, because it was on my watch along, I was like, this is why you can never, if you are a YouTuber, you should just never post that type of clip. Because they will just go after you after that, and I know, as Younes said, I know you didn't do it from any sort of malicious intent, but the way that it's going to come across for the people that, especially the people that already didn't like you, Miz, they're going to already use that as ammunition to kickstart you know, misagenda or whatever, and they're going to be like, you know what, this guy, he's posted a Mount fail clip. He's mocking Mount. He doesn't want to support the player. He wants the player to continue to, you know, go on this bad form. He's getting enjoyment out of it. That's how they'll take a fail comp. And
Do you know what? It's totally the opposite.
I hear you. You're doing it. Highlight. I know.
Dude,
I know.
He's on with you. This is different level of bad now. You need to wake up. We need you. Why would I want my player to be performing bad for a prolonged period of time? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's insane to think that way.
You know, the thing with social media now is exactly that. Like, they'll see something and they'll immediately just put their assumption on it, and that's it. You can't change that opinion. They've ignored what the original intention was. Like, for you, that was it. I saw nowhere near as it was for you with this clip, but I put a tweet out a few days ago comparing. Well, it was funny. It was coincidence. I was scrolling through the timeline and I saw one tweet from CFC Fanzine, you know, only a pound. Magazine outside the bridge. And John Terry was in the away end. John Terry was in the away end, and he was because he went to the Liverpool game. He was with the fans, and he was holding one of those up, and he was smiling. And then the very tweet below was another account talking about Frank Lampard and how he's like struggling. You can see like his shot from his last game where he's got the beanie on. He's just, and then I literally took that and then I posted that, and I was like, wow, look at the contrast. Like, two club legends, two of our best ever players, and look at where one's gone and like where he is now, how happy he is and what he's doing. He's not in management, but he's happy. And look at the other. Like, it's just, that's all I did. I just highlighted just that difference.
And did you get hammered?
Started coming in. Oh, what have you got against Lampard? Why are you mocking Lampard? He's our greatest ever player. I didn't say anything. I only said, look at the way life can just take you in a direction sometimes. That was my only point. Just the way that life works. Do
you regret posting that now? Do you kind of be like,
not at all?
No, you don't.
That's why I've not deleted it.
One thing I said is I personally, everything else I agree with you, and I agree with both of you on about this whole Mount situation. We're going to get into it because I feel like people, I think the hypocrisy that was kind of brought up in Younes' video is pretty important, because it is true. When, let's be honest, if that clip was of Ziyech that you posted or of Georgie, no one would have cared.
No one would have cared.
In the Chelsea YouTuber community, there would not have been videos on it, and that is a fact.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that, to be honest. And if you either want to admit it and that you know that you kind of have that bias, or you have that favoritism to players that you feel a connection with, or you care about more, which everybody has. But let's not sit here and pretend like everybody will react equally to each and every player that gets a comp or clip made on them. But personally, I would not have posted it for that simple reason that I know exactly how it would have been received, and Twitter is just no longer the place for any sort of highlighting of any player in like.
Honestly, I did not anticipate that level. I didn't even fathom that it was going to be something. I thought it was just going to be, as Younes so well articulated in his video, it was literally for me to highlight, how has this guy gone so bad? Yeah. Like, he needs to wake up now. He really does. But I do want to say something. I know I've been saying that there's been a lot of abuse and this, that, the other, but there's been so much support as well. Like, on my channel, literally, I would have to say nearly 99% were all gunning for me, were all appreciating what I had to say in my live chat, in my live stream. And, everyone was supporting that. Even on Twitter, a lot of my followers were pro, and they understood where I came from. But obviously, as you know, Matisse, back in the Sarri days, that Arsenal picture, when I was in the Emirates with my cousins, all of that started to float around. So that's again happening. The Sarri, you would remember very well when that happened. So that's happening again now. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's an Arsenal fan, this, that, the other. But do you know what? The real ones out there, huh?
Just let you know, his stream's gone down.
Why is that? So weird.
I have no idea. It's just black and turning.
Even
though we're
in my stream.
That's definitely a YouTube issue, because we're
as in this stream.
Someone's saying it's back now. I think it's all
yeah,
right.
guys. I think the best thing you can do is just reload it. Reload the stream, because it's definitely a YouTube issue. Because I've had
be back.
Yeah, I've had this issue before. It's nothing to do with us, because our connection is fine. and we're still running. So yeah, just refresh it.
Sorry,
Come on,
sorry
yeah.
to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I seen the comments as well. just refresh the page or whatever you have to do. It's not a Wi-Fi issue or anything. It's YouTube is just bugging. Carry on, bro.
Yeah, no, it's there's been heaps of support. There's one person that just said there's been a lot of support because you muted everyone. No, I didn't mute like every single person out there. Whoever was abusing me, I've muted them. There was a handful of that, but there's a lot of comments there that's been so positive. So it's great to see.
This is the thing to highlight, right? I feel like people are trying to find the impossible solution. It's like trying to, let's take it away from football very quickly. That the government's war on drugs, like it's impossible. You're not going to stop it. Yes, you can do things to try and minimize it, but you're not going to stop it. So the reality of the situation is, you come on social media, you come on Twitter, especially. Let's talk about Twitter. Whether you like it or not, there is going to be some sort of harsh criticism, sometimes completely uncalled for, abuse, whatever it is. It's going to be there. You can try and highlight it. You can try and clamp it down. You can try and do what you want. But regardless whether you like it or not, it's there. You need to be able to know if you're able to take it. If you can't, mute button is there. Block button is there for a reason. If you have an issue coming on Twitter or social media and you realize you can't hack it, that's on to you. If you realize you can take it, take it. But this is where you got to be realistic. You can't get everyone to agree with what you're going to say or what you're going to post. And that's just the reality of it. You have to take both sides. You're going to get people that agree and disagree, some people that are crazy about it and just give you complete, BS, and some people that are really constructive. The best thing to do is take the support as you have, Miz and whatnot, and anyone that's just floating about any ridiculousness, just
do you know what the issue is though? Is it's as we said, it's inconsistent, right? And people obviously, Mount is a lot of people's favorite player. They see a clip like that, they take it as abuse. But unfortunately, those very same people are very happy to make sly comments and sly digs about Jorginho, or very, very happy to have sarcastic, triggering, I'm trying to piss off the Jorginho stands, or I'm trying to piss off the American Pulisic stands. You can't have your cake and eat it. This is my problem with this community, is that they're inconsistent. If you want to cut out and eradicate all hate on players, then make sure that you do it for every single player.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're consistent. If you see a Pulisic comp, you need to come and shut that shit down. If you see an Aspilicueta, any player, no matter if they're legends, if they're bums, if they're not good enough, if they're good enough, if they're your favorite, if they're not your favorite, if you like them, if you don't, every single Chelsea player, you need to unanimously come out against that consistently. And when you start picking and choosing, and then on top of that, you're okay to throw your slide digs to trigger the online fans, the teenagers, and you're happy to mix in and play that game, then do not complain when you get burnt. Do not complain when that shit comes back to bite you. It's inconsistent. That's my problem. And that's why I kept my mouth shut, because I saw a lot of people complaining. And like I said, I didn't personally agree with posting the clip. I've been very honest with Miz about that, because it's just not something I would do. But I don't like people then trying to pretend like as if, player hate. Oh, no. Because it's inconsistent. And it's like, I know you wouldn't do that if it was someone else. So why now do you feel like anybody should take you seriously in terms of this situation right now? Why?
I'll go one up on that as well, Matisse. The amount of messages that I got on my DM, not the abuse, take the abuse aside, people that I regularly talk to on Twitter, reaching out to me and telling me how to be a fan, telling me what I need to do, telling me that's not how a Chelsea fan should behave, telling me about morality. And I'm like, wow, you're teaching me life lessons now. You guys are teaching me life lessons. Like, what do you know about life? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's exactly what you said, Matisse. These guys wouldn't do anything if it was someone else, like if it was a Pulisic, Ziyech, or anyone else's failed comp. They wouldn't go to their mentions and say, this is not on.
No, it wouldn't have happened.
But for the Mount one, I now need to reassess what type of a fan I am.
Yeah.
I've never seen the YouTube Chelsea community ever post about Jorginho hate.
No.
We need to stop it. It's never happened. It's never happened. And I'm cool with these guys. I'm friends with these guys, but best believe you all know deep down within you, it is a double standard. It is favoritism. And it's very important that you mention that in your videos. You need to be honest with yourselves. And if you're honest with yourselves and you're honest with your communities, then fair game. But if we're gonna pretend, come on now, let's not do that. Do you know what I mean? Because I've been here long enough now to witness everybody speaking on players, and I know who everybody's favorites are, and I know who everybody doesn't rate, and I know who everybody doesn't like. And like I said, everybody's allowed to have their favorites, but you have to make that clear. You have to make that clear that you are speaking from a semi-biased standpoint. Because if you don't do that as a fan, then people are going to start expecting you to speak in a very, very, balanced manner. And that is not going to happen. And that's not happening. In terms of Mount, off of all of this and more about his performances, I think he's not playing well. And the excuses that he'll get is, again, the yes, he's playing out of position. Yes, he's this, that, and the third. But again, the amount of allowances that he's going to get this season, a lot of other players will not get. And it's a lot of other players won't get those allowances. We can say Ziyech has never performed because he's not been consistently in the team, or that he's been injury prone. But we're not going to do that, because we're just going to say, Ziyech, you're not performing. It's not good enough. End of conversation. So again, with Mount, for me, what Potter would be fantastic to do at this point after the break is to bench him. And I've been calling for it for weeks, because I've seen this coming. It's just an amalgamation of tension and heat on Mason Mount. And I personally, I don't want to see it. I'd rather him be on the bench.
Exactly.
I'd rather him be, he's not playing well. Bench him, put somebody else in there who hasn't got the same heat on them, that is actually potentially going to play well. And let's move on. Let's move on. Because this consensus that this player has to constantly play all the time, and his own fitness record kind of speaks volumes as to why he's always playing, right? He's reliable, he's durable, but he's not playing well. And Chelsea has always been a competitive environment. Even if you go back to Chelsea at its peak, you have Mason Mount, you have not its peak, you have Lampard versus Ballack, you have Essien versus Makalele, you have Terry versus Ivanovic. You have so much depth, so much quality. No one could ever really think that their place is not up for grabs, and that's why they probably performed. So there's no harm in taking this player out the team. You won't be sacked. You will not be sacked for taking him out the team. I feel like this whole thing that he said months ago, I remember you pointed out, on one of your videos, I think it was after the whole training session thing, about playing him into form. It's not going to happen right now. Just take him out. You can see in his post-match interview, he is, even personality-wise, he's looking a little bit withdrawn. He's not looking quite the same bubbly, happy Mace that's confident. So take him out the team. We're not winning anyway. You have nothing to really lose, to be honest, and put someone else in. That would be my only ask. I don't know. I guess you guys would be along similar lines. Would you say to just take him out of the team in the next game? Obviously, that's not until Fulham, isn't it? Nearly 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things. Firstly, about this is luckily Chelsea have a break because we're out the FA Cup, so it probably means that everyone can calm down, including him. Build up some momentum, at least in training, and then when it gets to the next game, hopefully his mind's refreshed and everything is past. But absolutely, I even think for the first game back, maybe he doesn't play because it's gone on for too long, and it would be a case of, look, if you're not playing well at all and it's gotten this bad, and you're still getting selected, it's not even a good message for the other players, for the rest of the squad. And that's just the way that I see it. Now, unless if Potter has a different way of managing the situation or getting everyone on board with that, but cool. In an environment like that where you notice someone still getting favoured despite really bad performances, it's just not good. You start to ask questions. So there is that. But I agree. I think his form's been really bad. And it's a case of, look, you just need to get dropped now. And I don't think Chelsea suffer without him. That's the whole thing. I think there's people that think Mount has to play because if he doesn't, we're screwed. Like, nah, we'll be just fine, And it's a case of him trying to fit into this team rather than us trying to fit to him. That's just the reality of it. Secondly, I want to say there seems to be this consensus now that you have to be right in everything you say. If not, you're completely invalidated. You don't matter, right? There's a lot of things that come with hindsight, and it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to then come later and go, oh, you know what? Yeah, no, I might have been wrong with that previous point that I made. It's completely normal, you know? That goes both ways. Whether, for example, if we're talking about Mason Mount, if you've idolized the way that he's played and gone, oh, he's been absolutely amazing, it's okay to now say, oh, no, you know what? He's not up to it at the moment. Even if it's just for now, no, he's got to be benched. He's not good. But there's some people that are going, no, he's regardless, no, he's got to play. And it's the other way around. You can say, oh, no, he's rubbish. But then he actually puts in good performances. He builds up some consistency. It's okay to turn around and go, he's playing really well. I didn't think he would, but he's playing really well. Fair play. I hope he continues. It's okay to say that, just to put that out there, because a lot of people seem to have an issue with that nowadays, where you get called a flip-flop for being honest if you were to come out with that sort of opinion, and you have to ride or die with your original thought. If not, you don't know what you're talking about. Nah, that's the way that humans work. We make mistakes and we make errors, and sometimes you have to look at hindsight. That's just the reality of life. So I want to make that point and just be clear, because a lot of people seem to avoid that.
I want to add something different to this debate as well. Obviously, you guys agree that, you know, for Fulham, or maybe for the upcoming, you know, matches, he could potentially come from the bench. I'd probably even think a little bit deeper and see what you guys are saying. I actually had this idea from Balak CFC, who's on the live chat at the moment. He actually put up a really good comment on my live stream a moment ago. If you deep it for a second, Mount's, after this season, he'll only have one more year left in his contract. I don't know where the conversation is with his contract situation right now. It keeps delaying all the time. And if you look at the players, the caliber of players in the attacking areas, I don't think we will probably see Mount anymore there, because you've got Madueke, you've got Mudryk, you've got X, Y, and Z. So you shouldn't, and João Felix, you shouldn't see Mount in those advanced positions anymore. Now, in midfield, if you get players like Enzo Fernandez, which seems to be back on the agenda again, and then you're also linked with Caicedo, you start to wonder, well, where does Mount actually start to fit in this team now? Because positions are getting taken up. And on top of that, don't forget, Todd Bowley and the board and the the new ownership, they love their long-term contracts. And they're looking to really restructure the wage bill, where there is a basic base salary and then there's performance bonuses. And only the creme de la creme will earn the big money. So your Reece James is an outlier. He'll get the big money because he's world-class. He's world-class, Reece James. So he gets that. It comes a situation where if Mount, for example, and he's got every right to go up to the board and say, look at my CV, look at what I've done at Chelsea Football Club, whether you agree or not, whether it was relevant and whether I wasn't involved with the yesterdays of players like Lampard and Essien and Balak and all of those guys, I still managed to get, 2 player of the seasons back to back. So he can show that CV. I'm just worried that the new owners might look at it and go, so what are you asking for? Are you asking for a shorter term? Are you asking for more money? Because I don't know whether that negotiation will go down exactly how Mount wants it to go down. So I think there may be a situation where you're going to have to think about, well, what happens? Can't really let this guy go out on a free. Like, do you know what I mean? And
Liverpool are interested, aren't they?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Mount needs to think about. I loved what Younes said, and this is why I said many times on my channel, Younes mentioned, at the end of the day, no matter how much you do proper Chels, this, that, they all think about their future, their well-being, their families, the money. That's what it counts. Because after all this is done and dusted, Mount's got to live off the income that he makes.
And Chelsea will keep going.
Chelsea will keep going. And Mount's on 75k, I believe. He's probably going to be pushing for about 200 or close to that Reece James money.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't get that, I don't think he just settles because
listen, it's such a difficult situation for him because I understand what the problem is and why there's a problem. You know, if I was Mount, right, and I had won on the surface of it 2 player of the years in a row, regardless of whether people feel like the second one is fully deserved. I personally feel like Rudiger or Silva should have got the second one, but it doesn't matter because on paper he's got it. So he's got 2 player of the years. His first season was a development season, and he did reasonably well for a young player coming into the league for the first time. And you've seen Lukaku earn this much, Werner earned that much, 270k. You've seen Kai Havertz, whatever, Kepa. You have been more integral than a lot of players. I can list out all of these players that he's been more important
Lukaku
in the last couple of years. Lukaku, Werner, Kai Havertz, Kepa, all of these players he absolutely destroys in terms of involvement, importance, etc. So I can understand why he now feels that he needs to be on that wage because he has been integral up until this point. Even out of form, you could say last season, yes, I don't think he was consistent. He still stacked up his GA. He was still involved enough. He was still in impact. So but then at the same time, like you said, we are trying to cut the wage bill down, and we're not going to be able to do that if he doesn't kind of come down to a level that is reasonable. So because I don't think he's worth 300k. I don't, even despite the fact that in comparison,
I don't think
to
he
others,
wants 300k. Matisse.
Yeah, I don't think he does.
I don't think that rumor's true.
I still don't believe he wants 300k either. I still believe that is still far fetched. I do believe it is more based on add-ons, installments, etc., incentives, and I think that's how it should be anyway in the contract.
We have to pinpoint as well those players that we've listed. That was all done under the previous regime.
Exactly.
Yes.
You can't even for Mount. He has to look at that as these guys are new. They can't be blamed for the salaries that the others are on. They're going to do what they want to do. So you have to understand that.
Younes, Mudrik's on 97k a week apparently.
There we are.
Yeah, and that's what he should be on, to be honest. Like, I mean,
that's what he should be.
That's probably even still a lot.
Arsenal offered 40.
Yeah, he was only on 3.
That's probably the right wage. The 40.
He was only on 3.5k in a Shakhtar Donetsk. So he's 90 is actually a lot for him, considering what he's actually like kind of done so far in his career. 97k is actually quite a lot, but it is over a long period of time. And I think with these new long-term contracts, you can afford, maybe if you're that confident that they're going to be successes, to pay a little bit over the odds, because you know with inflation in 3-4 years time, when you're in the middle of that contract, you're going to be paying them very cheaply in comparison to what it would have been if they were to ask for a new contract after 3 years or 4 years of performing on a 5-year deal. Okay, we've spoke about Mount. Final thing on Mount before we move on, because I'm only going to let him take up half the show. Crazy, right? Are we comfortable if he does go to Liverpool? Because I do think, first of all, that I wouldn't sell him. I think the other extreme of him being sold is for me a bit too far. But I understand that people have had their opinions on Mount for a sustained period of time. It's not reactionary for a lot of people. They've kind of felt that he's not been as good as people have claimed for quite a long time. I personally think selling him is a little bit early, considering what I saw in his first player of the year season. I believe if he's coached and he's kind of refined and put back in a position, which I do believe he is, his natural position is in the 8 in the left channel or the right channel. I do believe that's his position. I don't just say he's an 8 in a midfield 3 just for shits and giggles. I do believe that that's the best form I've seen him in. That's also the best. That's what I've seen of him from his development from Derby County to Vitesse to the player of the year under Lampard, I think it was, /Tuchel. I believe that position is where I've seen the best football. Now, I know he played in the front 3 under Tuchel. I think under Lampard, when we were top of the league, he played in the 8 in the midfield 3 before the kind of downward spiral at Christmas. And those were some of the best performances I've seen from him. But he's not going to be a guaranteed starter in my eyes going forward. I think that's fair to say. With the quality that we're looking to buy, I think people need to accept that. He is going to have to work his arse off for his place, because the standards that I guess he's been playing with, which we've always said he's been the best out of, a bad bunch of attackers. And then, he's carried the team at times in terms of his involvements and whatnot. The standards are about to go up. So you've got to go up again from whatever you've done and whatever you think that you've, accomplished so far, which is great. You need to go up a few gears, because the level that you was playing at was not Chelsea level. It's still in terms of we're finishing fourth, we're finishing third, we're not picking up the Premier League title. If we're going to pick up the Premier League title, you yourself are even going to have to improve. No one can sit here and say Mount doesn't have weaknesses in his game. Mount, well, maybe one person can. Mount is perfect and Mount has nothing to improve on, and Mount can't be touched and Mount can't be tamed. And this is Miley Cyrus way back in 2004, whatever the hell that song was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you remember Can't Be Tamed? Brother, like, you can still improve. You know, there's still places to go. And if you don't improve, and if you continue to stagnate, and if you continue to regress, then you're going to be on the bench, and then you may even potentially a couple of years down the line be sold. But I wouldn't give up on him just yet personally. What about you guys? If he was to go to Liverpool, how are you feeling? I mean, at this point, with all this toxicity, you probably don't even give a damn, to be honest.
I mean, go on, Younes, bro.
No,
Yeah.
you know what? With this, I think you have to look at it realistically. When it comes to the contract situation, it's a big part, right? If he was still on 3 or 4 years of his deal, I'd be like, yeah, there's no reason for him to go, right? I would say the standard's definitely going to up itself if we're going to get top midfielders in. Say if Enzo does come in, Caicedo does come in, then at that point, you need to take yourself to another level. I think even for Chelsea, it would be best to have him, even if he was to be a bench player, even if he was to be someone that were to come on, that we would try and rotate with, that we would, you know, if he were to get to that level, I still think there is something beneficial there in Mason Mount that you can use, you can benefit from. At the same time, with his contract negotiation and the way that it's going, if it does get to a point where they just can't agree, or if something is, you know, in the way, it would be stupid for the ownership to not think about selling him now, as Miz said, instead of letting him go on a free, because it's Mason Mount. He is going to attract in terms of money, his age, what he's done before. That's not something you can just turn away, especially if it gets to the point with FFP, like Chelsea are doing at the moment, where they're looking to change the rules because of what we've been doing and all of that madness. You got to look at the players that you're going to offload and the money that you're going to get from that. It's going to be key. So I wouldn't sell him just for the sake of selling Mason Mount. I wouldn't. I think if it were to come to that, Chelsea will be okay. But I think there is a way that you can utilize him, and I'd say bring the whole situation back down to earth a little bit, because I do feel like this whole Mason Mount debate has gone to a point where people are already looking at him like he is the next Frank Lampard. You know, when it's a case of no, you're the one and only Mason Mount. Let's be realistic about your level and where you are, and let's try and build on that. And if it is going to get to a point where we bring in top quality, which we haven't had in that Chelsea midfield for a little while, then we get to see where he really is and how he really fares. And if he does succeed in that, then cool, fair enough. I've got nothing bad to say. But if it gets to a point where we have to utilize him, he's on the bench, for example, then it is what it is. I do think he's a good squad player for sure, 100% at the minimum, right? But as I've said, if it comes to it where financially it makes sense because they can't agree a deal, then yeah, I think it would get to a point where if he sold, he sold.
With me, I don't know what my answer is, to be honest. I know it's very easy to say that it'd be great to have him as a squad player. It'd be great to have him off the bench. Hypothetically speaking, it all sounds great. I've said it. Younes has said it. Can he handle it? I don't think he wants to be a bench player. I don't think Mason Mount wants to be.
That's fine though. If he's got the hunger, if he's got the hunger to get into the team, I do believe though that he. I think from his standpoint, it's starting to get extremely unhealthy, him being at Chelsea. And I do believe that if he was to go to Liverpool, not only does the manager and that team, the way that they play, I think suit him even better.
It works.
I also believe it would be a fresh kind of start for him. So if it keeps being like this for him, there will be more of a conversation about whether it's actually best for him for his own sake to move on. Because it will affect him probably. I know a lot of people say that it doesn't, and he's got a lot of mental fortitude, but you know, it is mad.
There's two ways that people are saying it could possibly go. Say if that were to happen, there's people going, look, we've let go of players like KDB before. You know, if he were to become a world beater somewhere else, we're going to regret it. And then there's the other lot that are going, yo, he could just end up like Dele Alli.
Let me tell you guys something. I'm going to keep the facts.
And again, I think that's two extremes. I don't think it's going to happen for either. I think it's just.
Let me just put the facts out there and let people sometimes we don't need to answer right here, right now. Go away, think about it, marinate in your head, and process it. The facts are Mason Mount, for a good 1.5 seasons now, I'd say about 16 months, he's been very inconsistent. 16 months, he's been very inconsistent. It's not even 12 months. Go back as far as last season, right? For about 16 months, he's been inconsistent. So that's factor one. Factor two, new owners, the things that they're doing with the wages, the contract situation with Mason Mount, is it all going to work out or not?
Mm-hmm.
And the last factor, the level of players that the new owners are bringing in. So there's layers to this, man. Like there's different layers to this. So marinate that, think about what is the best. We can easily sit here and go, no, he's from the academy. Do you know what I mean? No, he's got to stay.
No, it's got nothing. It's got nothing
On
to do with the
that
academy
point-
because for me, Gallagher should be sold.
On that,
Bro,
but this is the thing.
why isn't he sold already?
But do we think Reece James should be sold?
No, exactly.
No.
Well, there we are.
No.
No one criticizes Reece James. Why?
Because he's quality.
It's world class,
Clear.
bro.
It's clear.
It's clear as daylight.
There we are.
I don't even claim him as an academy player anymore. I look at him as a world class player.
100%. 100%.
And it's funny because Reece James doesn't have to be defended really that much because everybody just undisputedly knows that he's world class.
Yeah.
There we are.
And it's like there is no and I get the frustration. It's like, yes, we want people that want to die for the club and that love the club, and we do care about commitment and things like that, because for so long commitment has been questioned, mentality has been questioned, will to play for the club has been questioned, but that can't be compromised for quality. Big up Drogbaba in the building. That can't be compromised for quality. Do you know what I'm saying? That you have to have that plus the quality. And if you're not bringing the quality along with the work rate, because there were so many times in that Liverpool game, I saw Gallagher as well working extremely hard to try and win the ball back, but then his actions on the ball are not good enough.
Exactly.
And it's a positive and then a negative. It balances out to nothing. It's like robbing a shop and then giving a homeless man the food. It's like you have helped, but you're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? You're still in trouble because you still did something wrong. That's the best analogy I can come with. You've committed a criminal offense, but then you have shown some goodwill and some good faith, but you're still probably in trouble because you need to be able to not do that and do that and a hell of a lot more often. So, Drogbaba, we've just been debating Mason Mount. I'm sure you know all about Mason Mount and the drama that it causes in this community. What are your thoughts on him at the moment in terms of his status? Because obviously he's been linked with Liverpool, and there comes a time with 1 year left on your contract, I think, after this season. Do you keep? Do you sell? How highly do you rate the player? Do you think he's overrated, underrated, overhated? Where do you stand? Just summary on Mason Mount at the moment.
Well, it's been the kind of a storm these past 48 to 72 hours, especially after that stream and whatnot, that tweet that Miss put out. And it has divided the fan base. I heard what Younes had to say in his video, and he categorized the fans in 3-4 categories. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Five. So I don't know in which category I lie, to be honest. I might be in a category of my own. I like Mason Mount very much, but there is no denying the fact that he has been performing poorly. He has not been consistent. His run in the Champions League campaign was phenomenal in the 2021 season, but every other player stepped up, right? Even the Jorginho was third in the Ballon d'Or rankings that season.
Jorginho.
Yeah.
So not only Mount stood up that season, everyone did. Even Havertz scored that goal in the final. But again, I agree with the side that, okay, maybe, just maybe, we need to back the player. I get it that might be too early to say that, okay, he's not good enough, we should sell him. But again, this not stop us from asking some pertinent questions, that why he's starting by default. I have been saying in my last 3 or 4 previews that Chukwuemeka should start ahead of Mount in that position, because he has done enough to warrant a starting position. And I don't want to see Mount just be there in the team without any competition. For example, this Malo Gusto link really makes me happy, because not only he's a backup for Reece James if we are able to get him, but he creates that competition. So this that does not brings in the complacency that some players might go through sometimes, and I feel that with Mount in some cases. Okay, it's all good. He's our academy lad. Everything is fine. He's Chelsea through and through. But I feel that right now, I think he needs our support. It's okay. We should ask the questions. I completely and see what people misunderstood with Miz was he was not slandering Mount. He was just raising a fact that why aren't we asking questions? Like if some other players are performing under par, then they are looked at with a different lens. And some of our academy players, because they have been Chelsea born and bred, are given some special treatment. Just for example, I completely agreed with Younes on the fact that we have wrapped some of our players in cotton wool. We are protecting them very much, and that should not be the case. We should be asking some very difficult question to, like Koulibaly has been given a very like a very stringent treatment by everyone, a very bad treatment. Like I was reading this tweet the other day somewhere that we should back Cucurella. He's still young. We should back him. He's been going through a lot. It takes time to adapt. So I just replied on that tweet, why aren't we applying the same logic for Koulibaly? Then people with their opinion and whatnot, how this works. And I think VAR and social media are the two worst things that have happened to football in recent times.
people live through the club via certain outlets, and outlets like Lampard, like Mount, these are outlets for people to live the club through a lot of the time, right? In terms of favoritism, and you're right. If I was to go tomorrow and post. And Miz, you probably would honestly say you probably wouldn't post a Ziyech kind of clip like that because you love Ziyech, right? So your favoritism would be with Ziyech. You've said this many times. You're very honest, or would you? I don't know.
Honestly speaking, I would have done that.
You would have done
that for Ziyech as well. As much, you know how many times I've said that in my live stream. As much as I love Ziyech, and that love is not just because him as a footballer, him as a person, I connect with him in a different level.
Yeah.
But if I saw him perform like that for my club, like that, that same clip would be out for him as well.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you,
player. The club, it has to be club before player. And I think a lot of people are willing sometimes to almost sacrifice club performance for an individual. And it's not a crime to admit that, people were willing. Some people in the Chelsea community would have been willing to be 15th, 16th with Frank Lampard in charge because of that emotional connection. If that was Sarri, pitchforks. And that is just how it goes. That is how it works. And it's like, there's no point pretending that everybody's
and a point to add to that.
It's simply not true.
I just want to add one more point, that why we protect our academy players, and there is a certain sense of protection towards certain players, because every other team, mainly our rivals, have a player who is an academy product, and they are like, okay, he is going to be the next big thing. With Man City, it's Foden. With United, it's Rashford. With Liverpool, it's Trent. So we also need to have one of our academy products who's going to be the next superstar. Okay, we have Reece James, who's Cobham's finest, in my opinion. He is our best academy product, but he has not been fit. So be in the rankings of these players. Okay, we can compare Reece James or these academy players. So we need that, face of Chelsea academy to represent us and to be that next big thing. So that's why I think we do this. Still there are people who are defending Callum Hudson-Odoi. If you look at his stats this season,
it's bad.
If you look
really bad, like people ask me,
bad is an understatement. Bad is an understatement.
Over.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, people are okay. Callum has gone out on loan. He'll be a plus next season. Then same with Loftus-Cheek. Okay, he's been played out of positions. That's why he's not been able to, hold his own in the team, and he's not settled. Why? Don't say same about Pulisic. Pulisic also has been played out of position so many times. I think Pulisic is the only player in the world who started a game as a striker and ended as a wing back. I'm talking about the 2-2 draw, Liverpool-Chelsea, in which 4 goals were scored in the
Yeah,
first
he
half.
was
Just
he played
after
every
the
position.
he played every position in that game except the centre back.
But do you see that emotional? As Miz said there, that he will feel more of a connection with Ziyech, as same others will feel more of a connection with Mount. If you were to post that clip, Miz, on Ziyech, people would not be quoting saying, or at least the same people would not be quoting saying, "Oh, you can't post that on Ziyech, this player abuse."
Because
They would
he's
be
not
on top of
academy.
that. On top of that tweet saying, you know, this is where Ziyech is going wrong. They would see it as highlight. They would see it as an analysis. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen many a time people that are going ballistic over this Mount clip, quote tweet a cover or a Ziyech or a Pulisic clip and analyze it. So, you know what I mean? It's how it's perceived, it's how it hits you. And when you see that on the TL, because you love Mason Mount, you're like, oh my God, this is an outrage. This can't be happening. But you don't feel that way with other players. So it is naturally inconsistent.
I want to ask you, especially you two boys who are in UK, I don't get to see other clubs, you know, in a microscopic focus. I know, Matisse, you've been covering heaps of games, so maybe you may be able to answer this better than any one of us. I just want to ask you guys, are any other clubs with their academy players, are their fans as crazy as us with our academy players? Because I don't see that with Foden.
Yeah,
and Man
Liverpool
City.
are like this with Curtis Jones. He ain't good enough.
Oh, really? Are the Liverpool fans like?
Well,
I can't say
some
nothing.
Liverpool fans think Curtis Jones is good enough. From what I've seen personally, he don't look good enough to me.
What about Foden with City fans? Like when he gets
you see, and I said this in the Big Six. You see the difference with Foden, right? Don't worry, I'm not missing any super chats, guys. I just don't want to ruin the flow, but I will be getting to it next. You see the difference with Foden is heavily rotated, heavily looked after by Pep, and if Foden is not playing well, he is taken out of that team and rotated with someone equally as good or better, and then the slander is non-existent because City keep winning, City keep performing, Foden doesn't get the game time. Whereas when Chelsea are not performing and when Mount is not performing, he's not rotated out because either the manager doesn't feel like there's an equal option to take him out the team in terms of what he gives to the team and to replace that, etc., etc. So yeah, people don't. Well, Mount is simply played so often that he is going to be criticized as a starter. He's going to be criticized as a Chelsea bona fide starter that has to be world class if you're starting for Chelsea, or has to be dropping world class performances for us to perform at a certain level. And if you're not doing that, then why are you playing? Why are you not on the bench, etc., etc.? I do believe the quality in the squad needs to go up around Mason Mount to fully either bench Mason Mount or, you know, completely or consistently, or to raise his level. One of the two. I think he needs to be training around better players. And that's why I want Enzo Fernandez. That's why I want Casado. It's why I want all of the... Because I think, first of all, you cannot shoehorn him into a starting 11 with those type of quality players. It's not possible. You know, you have to be playing well. If you're not playing well, you are on the bench, undisputedly, because those players are too good for you to shoehorn him into the team. And I see a lot of the time in the last, you know, when people do their ideal 11s, right? They, you know, people will always want to put him in, force him in, because it's what they know, it's what they're used to, and it comforts them, right? It's an insecurity that he could potentially be on the bench. Well, if you bring in top midfielders, his place is up for grabs as much as anybody else's, and he's not done anything in the last, say, you know, especially this season. I'm just talking about this season. He's not done anything this season to warrant shoehorn him into the team, and this notion that this team cannot function without Mason Mount is a farce, because every single team, and I say the same for Kante, every other team on the planet doesn't have Mason Mount. Every other team on the planet doesn't have Kante. How comes other teams are able to pick up titles and Champions Leagues without these players? Because they can be replaced. They can be replaced. There's no player. We're not talking about Messi here. You know what I mean? We're not talking about, unless you are Messi to your team, you can be replaced, and you shall be if you're not playing well. It's very simple. People need to get that in their heads.
I want to make one final comment from my side in regards to this. I saw George's video the other day. And George was TV-toeing around with the whole situation. But the one really key thing, George Benson, by the way, what I took out from his video which really struck to me. And I think now I really do understand why certain people act the way they do with Mount. George said, when Frank Lampard became our manager,
I watched it. It was very true.
like Frank is dear to all of us, every single one of us, like legend, absolute superstar of a midfielder, killed it, owned it, and won it all. Then he becomes our manager, and he by his own hand endorses Mount to the point where he kind of gives you the vibe as well that you love me, this is the next thing that you're gonna love. Like, I've chosen him. He's my prodigy, right? Maybe not
my successor.
Sounds
my
like
successor.
Star
Maybe
Wars.
he didn't say it with his, with those words, but he kind of gave us that vibe. And what George was saying is that a lot of people, it's like, Frank is gone. Now Mount has arrived. Like, it's the succession plan.
The baton, handing off the baton of the relay race.
Handing of the baton. It's very significant. It's very symbolic for them. So regardless of what Mount does now on the field, and even though George Benson tried his best to be level-headed, he couldn't at the end. He couldn't. Because you could see the love of Mount was illogical, unconditional. So I think that's where the issue happens. See, for me, my love for Mount isn't unconditional, isn't illogical. Do you know what I mean? I just see him as another Chelsea player. So I'm balanced when I'm talking about him. I don't have that love inside me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I can understand someone who may have the love for him.
Yeah.
So
I want to say about there's been the one point in regards to his positioning and why, maybe he's in bad form because of where he's placed on the pitch. Right. He can maybe only play as that traditional 8 and that's it. If I remember, the one thing that he was praised for previously was his versatility. The very same people that are talking about his positioning, I would say, are the ones where throughout time you go through their lineups that they decide to put out, and you'll see that they've put Mount in the front three. And I'm just saying, if it's genuinely down to positioning, if it's genuinely down to an 8, to him being an 8 and nothing else, then let's stick to that. Let's stick to that. And if we're going to find a way to be able to play with 2 8s, then and a DM or a traditional 8 that is there on the pitch, then cool, you put Mount there. If you're going to criticize and say that he's not going to play in that in another position well, then why are we even advocating for it when at first we thought he was versatile? If that's genuinely what's stopping him, then let's try and find a way, or at least stick to it. And then it's going to be down to Graham Potter. It's going to be down to who's in charge of whether they can fit him or not. But if we get other midfielders in that are going to do a better job in a role where he can't play, if it's genuinely down to his positioning, I genuinely thought that he was versatile. So I've not really got much of an issue. But if it's down to that, then we'll see when we get the quality midfielders come in. And all I want to say to end is time will tell. I told this to Miz as well. Time will tell. Time will reveal all. Right now, we can say whatever we want to say. But by the end of this season, if we were to get midfielders come in January, if we were to get players of a higher level that were to come in and start giving him that competition, time will tell. If he can truly hack it, if he does get better, if he does pick up his form, or if he continues his stagnation, or he starts declining properly, time will tell. We'll see.
It's true. It's true. Time will tell. It's going to be very interesting. Miz, Younes, I know you got to go, bro.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go. It's been a pleasure.
Sorry, guys.
Listen, what a conversation, bro. We'll see you next week for hopefully not the same conversation.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. This is not still plaguing the Chelsea community.
unless we see him, I don't know whether you want to say it. If we do the watch along.
Of course. Yeah, if it gets confirmed, for sure. Younes, let them know where to find you, man. Let them know.
No problem. So obviously Chelsea are off now. So it'll just be the latest news that's going on about, and I'll be sure to cover other games, FA Cup this weekend. So I think I'll give my thoughts on the City Arsenal game after that's done. But aside from that, just all my thoughts on the latest. And I won't just keep it Chelsea, but across the board too, because it's going to be a busy 2 weeks, I reckon, especially in the January window. So you can catch me, Younes Talks Football, as usual, if you don't know already. And yeah, that's basically it.
There you go. So guys, make sure you go and follow Younes. The channel is down below. Make sure you subscribe.
Also, Big Six Extra tomorrow, Wednesday, 10 p.m.
I'm looking forward to it. We've kind of prepared you for battle. I'm sure this is going to be brought up many a time.
100%.
Luckily for me, it was 2 hours deep, and we didn't have time to be getting into this debate on Big Six, but they'll definitely bring it up on Extra. So yeah, good luck out there. Also, City Arsenal. What are we doing for that? Do we know yet? We don't know yet.
I'm down. I think Bubba's down. I think Younes will confirm. I think that'll be amazing.
I'll be down. I'll be down.
Yeah.
All you can eat Chelsea. Watch along for that. That'd be great.
All you can eat Chelsea watch along for City versus Arsenal in the FA Cup. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch the game with everyone in live time. I've never done it, so I've always only watched them on my own. So this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be very, very fun. Going to learn a lot about the upper echelons of football and how we should be playing. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. This super chat is also saying on a happier note, topics you guys can talk about. Obviously, transfer deadline coming up. JT at Anfield, Mudryk, Conte, Lampard, Brighton, statement, FFP. I mean, yeah, we're not going to get through all of that, but there's plenty of other things to discuss for sure. There is, but everybody's putting out videos on that. This was something that needed like more of a conversation. I think it's better to have a Mason Mount conversation with a group than in one person, because you're not going to get the full kind of perspective on it, I guess. I don't agree with Miz, but I have to respect each other's opinions. Mate, it's not acceptable no matter what your opinion is. Hope you guys are good. Hate is not acceptable no matter what your opinion is. Yes, big up, bro. Completely agree. People love the idea of Mason Mount more than what he actually brings. I know Ibzy on Twitter has been fighting this battle for quite a long time. People shouldn't see Mount as validating the academy itself. There is James, and there's so many others across Europe. Good point as well. So yes, my viral tweet. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go, Younes.
Guys. Have a good one, guys.
Big up, bro.
We'll
see you soon. Yeah, we'll see you later on this week.
I'll see you later on. We'll talk with you later.
Yeah, hopefully we have Gusto wrapped up in a bit, brother. So let's discuss some transfer news towards the end of the show, because there is Gusto flying around, and I am intrigued by his mentality, first of all, to actually want to come to the club with Reece James here. I think that's the first selling point for me. Quality, we could talk about it across the board. There's probably quite a few right backs a lot of people would take from a quality standpoint, but from a mentality standpoint, the fact that he actually is willing to come and is agreed personal terms and is ready to play either.
What are we selling to these players, man? Everyone is wanting to join us. What is the project that we are selling to these players, man?
There must be long presentation. These guys, they do presentations, isn't it? So when they're calling and phoning and going to players' houses or whatever have you will, they're doing big hour and a half long PowerPoint presentations.
Might as well
8 hours. Apparently 8 hours for Mudryk.
I would love to see what these presentations look like. I would love to see one presentation leaked.
Get Gusto, get Enzo, get Caicedo, get Osimhen, and take the transfer ban. No worries.
I'm starting to get to that point, right, where I actually don't care. Like, because rivals at the moment, they're like, listen, you spent this much anyway. What's the difference between spending 500, 600 million? Like, really, we're already going to be portrayed as this club that just spend and splash and have no control. And we have spent a lot. Like, we have spent a ridiculous amount of money in a short space of time. So I'm now at the point where I'm like, you know what? We're just going to have to shamelessly spend it. I knew FFP have changed their rules, obviously, for the summer coming up in terms of year contracts, 5 years max now, because it's mad that Todd Bowie's come in and found a loophole like that. This London cowboy has come in, Miz, and just changed the game.
You know what? Yeah, once again, like I said it on my stream just a moment ago, that it's been such a topsy-turvy roller coaster ride. Sometimes I'm very annoyed with the owners, but sometimes I'm like, wow, okay, they've done something interesting. One thing I can say is there's a reason why these guys are successful business people. Like, there really is, because they do their homework. They came in, and I said recently, what you're going to do in football. You might be successful running multinational organizations, making the millions and the billions. What are you going to do at football? But clearly looks like they came in and they saw, hey, our books can be a lot better. We won't fall into trouble with FFP if we just end up giving longer contracts when we purchase new players, because amortization will allow us to break up that entire fee across the contract and have them in each financial year plug that amount. And that way we'll never get in trouble. I don't know why others didn't deploy this thought process, or the other accountants. Did they think about the spirit of the game or something like that? They didn't want to do it, but who cares about the spirit of the game? At the end of the day, if it's not illegal, then it's open for.
It's an all or nothing approach, na? Like if you are giving a 8-year contract, you are sold on that player, that this player will be a guaranteed success. But clubs usually don't want to take that risk. He'll give you a 3-year or a 4-year contract. Yeah. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Because, for example, Manchester United has had a fair share of failed signings. Big money signings, they have flopped. So they are having this apprehension before giving these big contracts. We don't have a choice. We have to overhaul our squad. We have to do the rebuild. And whatever it takes, if it takes to circumnavigate these FFP laws, which I am absolutely loving it too, but we forced UEFA to change the policy. You can't award contracts more than 5 years in length. Brilliant by Todd Bowley.
Mad. Honestly, when I seen that, when I saw that yesterday, I was like, is this a joke or is this serious? I said on my own channel on Sunday, when all the mount of videos were dropping, I said, you know what, I'm just going to speak about the recruitment, because I think the recruitment this January genuinely is exciting, and it's very clear that we have a new recruitment team, and that whether or not it works out or not, that will be, you know, shown in a few years' time. But they clearly have a strategy, and the type of profile and the type of players we're going for, you can see the ability and the technical level's gone up. Like, we're very clearly in for players that are just ballers, just absolute ballers. Yeah. You know, when would you have ever thought João Felix would step foot on this Chelsea pitch? Like, that was something that you had to get done on FIFA and just enjoy it, because you ain't seeing that shit in real life for no chance. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think the previous two managers would have had Felix in this team. Lampard, definitely not for me. Tuchel, definitely not. Like, there's just no way we would have seen Felix in a Chelsea shirt. So it does feel a little bit kind of surreal. And Santos is having a great time as well for the under-20s for Brazil.
Bro, have you seen his goal?
Yeah, I saw his goal. Andre Santos, I'm very excited to see what he can do.
Do you know what? I was thinking when we got Andre Santos, I was thinking surely he starts from the development team and then works himself up to the first team. He's the captain of what is it, under-20s at the moment?
Under-20s, yeah, he captained them. I don't know if he's the captain consistently, but he was the captain, in the last one, yeah.
No, the last game as well, against Peru, someone shared the clip with me as well. He was captain there, so clearly I think he's captain of the under-20 team. And the goal he scored yesterday against Argentina, I don't know whether he's going to be in development. I think he might be in around the squad.
Could be.
So.
And he looks like he can play the 6, because when I had Tactical Manager TV on the channel to discuss him, we also spoke about Victor Roque, who's also scoring for the under-20. There's only one. Listen, you see this attacker situation? I'm pretty much ready to wash my hands with any more attackers coming in. We've signed so many attackers. Get Felix sort of permanent, and I'm good. You know what I mean? You've brought in Madueke, you've brought in Nkuku, you've brought in Mudryk. But you see Victor Roque?
He's damn good.
That's my final one. Because everybody knows I got PTSD with this attacker thing. But
Napoli will prize him out. There's no way anyone's gonna get Osimhen.
Napoli, I don't think he plays. You're talking about
Osimhen. Yeah.
So the Brazilian youngster.
Forget Osimhen. That's not happening. But Victor Roque,
he's got 100 million release clause.
I thought you said Victor Osimhen.
No. Victor Roque, he's under-20 Brazil player.
Bro, he's good. He's damn good. Every time I've watched him, he's damn good.
You see Broja, and you see Fofana, they're nice. I feel like they got potential, but we'll see. You see him?
It's different.
Yes,
it's different.
It's different.
How are we going to fit all of these players in the team? Like, Well,
We're
once
not. We're
Broya
not. We're not.
comes,
We're just
Broya
hoarders.
comes
No, we're
back
just-
from
we're
his
just hoarders.
injury, we have Fofana, we'll get another striker, we will have Felix and Kunku. Who will you send on loan? Who will you keep?
This is
Who will
why
you
I
get
think
someone
Todd
else?
Bowley is looking for that multi-dimensional
Multi-club model, yeah.
multi-club model. He's looking to buy clubs in France. He's looking to buy clubs within League that can have an opportunity to maybe also be qualifying for the Champions League or Europa League. I think Todd Bowley recently in one of his interviews, which was 3 months ago maybe, just prior to the World Cup, he said he liked the vision of
Leipzig.
Red
RB
Bull
Group.
Leipzig,
RB Group, yes.
Red Bull Leipzig and Red Bull Salzburg being in the Champions League. He's like, I like that the two teams are in the Champions League, and he was cooking something in his head. Imagine if I own two teams where Chelsea and another, So
this man will continue to look for more loopholes, and UEFA better be ready, because any sort of loophole in your FFP, in your club ownership, whatever it is for FIFA, all of you guys better make sure that you go over your T's and C's, because he's on it.
And you know what, Matisse? This guy is a businessman along with Ekbali.
Yeah,
they will find all the loopholes, because you UEFA lads, you ain't got no clue, because you have not seen your books for a long time as to where the loopholes are. They will find the loopholes. They will take advantage of it. You better be changing your rules over and over again.
In fact, City Group also owns a number of clubs.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. They
In
own
Syria,
a
I
club here
think
in Australia.
They own a club in each
City.
continent.
Palermo in Syria is owned by City Football.
There you go. Melbourne City here are owned by City Group. We sometimes get City's youth players come and join Melbourne City on a loan. So it's.
The poll was 56% keep, by the way, so very split.
That's very. I thought it was going to be a landslide keep.
I didn't think it would be a landslide, because I know the community is very, like, especially on my channel, is definitely very balanced on that. But I did not expect it to be 56. I thought it might be 60s, but yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I'm just intrigued to see how it goes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just intrigued to see how he responds, how everybody deals with the situation. It's gonna be interesting. Very interesting. Also, so Gusto, does anybody know Gusto that well? I know Gusto from Ratatouille. I don't know about this brother. I'm not gonna lie, from Leon.
I've started to see some more clips. I started to watch a few more highlights of Leon. Look, this is my judgment on Gusto. I know there's people out there, fanatics, that watch him on a week-to-week basis. I'm not of that level, but from what I can see, he is genuinely going to be a backup to Reece James. He's not Reece James level. Like, a lot of people get worried when we talk about Dumfries, and they're like, Dumfries is not Reece James level as well. But a lot of people will argue, no way, Miz. Dumfries is not coming to Chelsea Football Club to be a backup. And I get that, because Dumfries is, a regular starter for Inter Milan. Inter Milan's in Champions League. And, he's a regular for Netherlands. Whereas Malo Gusto, as good as he is, he will be an understudy to Reece James. Now, the good thing about Malo Gusto is that not only all his attributes going forward, defending-wise, he's very good. And I think players from Ligue 1 defensively are quite good. They're strong. They're physical, which is great. The one thing he'll probably have to improve on, I saw statistically his assists, probably not the greatest, but I'm pretty sure as the age goes, he'll improve on that. He's only 19. And the fact about Malo Gusto, as Matisse earlier on alluded to, that you're glad that he's taken up this opportunity. And I think Baba as well said, why did he accept this? I think he's smart. I think he might have accepted it thinking, I don't think Reece James plays the entire season. So I'm potentially going to be the number one selection anyway. So whenever Reece James plays, no problems. I'll wait. And then if he doesn't get over all of these injury issues that Reece has had over the past 3 seasons, you best believe he's probably going to pick up another one. Now, touch wood, I hope he doesn't, because a fit Reece James wins us games. But Malo is probably thinking in the sense that this brother might not be able to keep fit the entire season, or the manager will start managing his time, which means I will get enough game
And also,
impress.
Reece James is versatile. You know, Reece James could play if he was
Midfield.
to move to a back three,
Yeah.
he could play him on the right side centre back. Gusto could
Yeah.
play wing back.
In
So
in Wigan, Reece James played as a DM, and he won the
Yeah.
Player of the Year there.
yeah, he's a freak. You know, you want he's one of those players where you would actually genuinely take 11 of him. You know what I mean? Like he's
No DM. Reece James is the DM.
If Reece James
Gusto's
was
the right back.
if you could get a left-footed Reece James and play him at left back, problem solved. If you could get, you know what I mean, if you could get a couple more Reece Jameses, everything will be all right. Alex saying my rival tweet on Kai also shows the FT issues. Yes, 100%. It's why FT and Twitter in general, I just tweet and leave. I mean, it's just a bit of a madness. It depends on the situation. Finally, on Enzo Fernandez, I don't think this is getting done. I would love to sit here and say
I don't know,
this is
Matisse,
gonna,
bro.
not in January,
I don't
Miz.
know.
I don't see it.
I don't know,
happening.
bro.
I know. I want to dream. Believe me, this is my top midfield target right now. I want us to get Enzo Fernandez. I am. Someone asked me, would I take a transfer ban for him? I'm not quite there because I think we need other positions as well.
Why do you have to take a transfer ban? Why is it so extreme? Like, why do I have to
because
do-
FFP. It seems like Benfica won't budge on paying us. We have to pay the release
True.
clause.
Do you know why it makes me think it's gonna? Maybe I'm not saying it's gonna happen.
Yeah, go
I'm
on.
just
Give me
saying-
some optimism, man.
The reason here we go. I'm going to give you some optimism for both you boys. Yesterday we hear FFP are changing the rules, right? From next summer, none of these 7-year contracts, max 5. I think our owners will go aggressive now on this window to cash in on this loophole as much as they can, because they can literally, make their accounting look fantastic with the amortization. They've already got personal terms agreed with Enzo Fernandez. It's the matter of, do they go out there and just trigger the release clause, because they don't want to pay all of that up front. They want to be able to balance it out. Like obviously now apparently players are getting thrown around. It's 100 million euros plus the players. I feel like Todd Bowley really doesn't want to miss out on this player. I think the thought process, this is my feeling, right? I think the thought process is he knows that Enzo Fernandez is an absolute game changer in footballing spectrum. And he believes if he doesn't go in hard now, come summer, there may be other like rival clubs that could be circling around. He thinks this is it. And to take advantage of that loophole, this is it while the iron is hot. Strike when the iron is hot.
I agree.
So
but unless we make sales,
yeah, and Benfica, they've got to budge.
Unless we make sales, or Benfica change their opinion, I don't think we're going to get him, because we haven't, FFP wise, I don't think we can.
The other factor as well, Matisse, is, I don't know if you're aware of this one, River Plate has a sell-on clause as well. So River Plate are apparently knocking on Benfica's door and saying, brother, sell this player, because apparently River Plate will make somewhere around 25 to 30 million pounds or euros or something like that. So they've already got 10 million for Enzo when Benfica came, but now they have the chance to make about 25 to 30 million more. So they're actually pushing Benfica as well, that, mate, sell Enzo. We want the money. So we'll see what happens, man, because there's many interested parties here. It's going to get very, 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 very
interesting.
Sticky.
Sticky situation. Drogbaba, you're not as confident about Enzo.
We'll make a fool of ourselves again, like we did last time. We are offering 100 million plus a player when they clearly want 120 million upfront. And I know what we are trying to do. We are not trying to break the Premier League transfer record. So Jack Grealish is the most expensive player till now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So we don't want to pay above that. We don't want to. We have already broken the record for spending most in our January transfer window. I don't think so. They want to break another record of, this would clearly put us in a lot of limelight and the center of attraction we don't want to be right now. And it would create that much added pressure on Enzo. You have to perform. You are the most expensive player in the history of this league. We paid 120 million euros to get you here. So I don't think so our owners want to go that route. and that's why I think it won't happen, because they want hard cash, 120 million. That's it.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't feel like we're gonna budge, and I think the fact that we pissed them off already doesn't help. It doesn't help.
We are pissing Enzo off also. First, we say that we are going to pay the release clause. He is not attending the training. The very next game, he comes on, scores a goal, kisses the bats, says, "I'm staying here." And now again, we are, messing up with him, trying to attract him. Okay, you come now. For the third time, I think we have agreed the personal terms. What are we doing? Agreeing the personal terms again and again. Do these terms change every 10 days? The 10 days before, the terms were different. Now the terms are different. I don't know what is up with the personal terms. But I don't really care if he's worth 120 million or not. This question is irrelevant now, in my opinion. If a player is worth this amount of money, if you need that player, you get him. Simple as that. Because the transfer market has gone bonkers. There is no justified price tag of any player anymore now.
Everybody's overpriced. It's just whether you believe or not. It's worth overpaying, isn't it? At this point, I think for me, he is worth overpaying for. But it'll be interesting to see if we get him or Caicedo. It's not going to be both, obviously. Caicedo, I don't know either if that's going to get done. It's not an easy deal to do. It's still a lot.
Brighton
of
doing madness again with the statement. Did you see Brighton's statement?
No, I haven't. So let's finalize on
put out a
Brighton.
statement.
What is it on Twitter?
Yeah, Brighton official Twitter page. They put out a statement.
Do you remember when we signed Cucurella and they put out a statement?
Exactly.
No agreement with any club of that sort for
they're saying that Caicedo is happy to stay at Brighton.
Where's this statement? I'm not seeing this on Twitter.
On Brighton football club page.
Oh, yes, I see it. Oh wow, they really are.
It's mad. It's actually mad. They're quite insecure, aren't they?
Yeah. So Caicedo, I am focused on Albion.
Free Enzo is trending on Twitter.
Caicedo says that he's happy playing for the club that opened doors for me. Wow, they really forced him on this one.
They forced him on
despite media speculation about his future. Why is this on the club website? This is insane.
It's mad. It's mad.
The midfielder has been virtual ever present since his Premier League debut in April 2022, going on to make a name for himself as one of the best young midfielders in the Premier League. I don't understand what this is. I'm focused on Brighton, he said. I am here. I am playing every day. Things from outside don't trouble me, nor does it take away the focus because I'm focused only on here. I handle the speculation well. You hear rumors here and there, but I only try to be focused on the club where I am now, the club which opened the doors for me for playing every week.
Matisse, Caicedo, he changed his agent yesterday.
Yeah.
He's got a new agent now. I don't know. Is this the new agent's style?
No, this is Brighton.
Mad.
This is Brighton doing this because they again are not happy with
us connecting the dots. That is us connecting the dots.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Brighton are fun. I like Brighton. I'm not gonna lie. I do enjoy the battles with Brighton as much as it's.
They're a little brother, aren't they? Like
they're above us right now.
That little brother that outperforms.
Oh, the battle with Brighton continues. It's actually mad how much beef we are starting to build up with Brighton. Wow. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting.
If we get Caicedo, I'm convinced that Boli wanted to buy Brighton. It's by mistake he bought Chelsea.
Or maybe he wants to get Brighton as one of those multi-dimensional clubs.
Premier League won't allow it.
You won't even not even allowed to.
The Newcastle owners tried to get another Premier League club, didn't they? They wanted to buy the Saudi owners.
Imagine thinking you can do that. Spurs are looking at Sarri as a replacement for Conte. It never ends with this club just constantly going after.
Wow, Spurs, stop.
Spurs are looking at Sarri. Oh my God.
Spurs need to do what we are asking Mount. Just chill out, take a few days off, go on a holiday. Spurs should probably take a year off from the Premier League. Just chill. Just reset, take a year off from the Premier League. We'll leave that spot empty.
What do you guys think of Kane signing the extension?
I don't think he will. I think it's Levy PR, to be honest.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
David
I think so.
Ornstein. He's
Yeah, I think he's been given that information to put out there. So I'm not saying it's incorrect, but I mean I do feel like as if Levy's taking the piss with that one. For me, if he signs that new contract, I'm confused, more than confused. Considering that he had a gentleman's agreement with him last season to go to Man City and he didn't fulfill that, why would he then go and sign a new contract and help him out? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, but anyway, we're gonna wrap up. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. I mean, Enzo, I'm seeing people are saying breaking news. Is there any breaking news on
there's
Enzo?
no breaking news. There could be later on today.
I missed something. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
there won't be anything. This is, I think, that business is done. Maybe we'll get Malo Gusto. I would be happy with that.
I
But
can't
DM, I
wait
don't
for
think
that.
so.
Here we go. I cannot wait for that. Here we go.
It would break the internet, man. It would break the community.
I think that will call for an emergency episode, Matisse, just to put it out there.
Oh, it will. 100%.
And Enzo will be the blockbuster signing ever.
Yeah.
If we were to get Enzo in a right back, even though Enzo is not a DM, I know, but he's still a midfielder and he does solve issues.
After Fernando
best window.
Torres, I would be looking forward to this deal.
Best window we've had.
When we were signing Fernando Torres, I was up all night
losing your mind.
Get that here we go. We did not have here we go back then in 2011. But you know what I mean, some kind of a confirmation from the club or from any news outlets. So let's see what happens with Enzo deal.
Yeah, and I mean Madueke, there's posts now. We forget that he's signed. It's going to be interesting. Keep him fit, and we'll see what happens there. Obviously, still to make his debut. Miz, do let the people know where to find you. It's been a pleasure, as always. Great show.
Bro. Great show as always. The other side of the coin, I think less than 600 away from 20,000 now. So let's get there. And two pieces of content, live stream, which is very fun and it's buzzing at the moment every day, early morning, UK time, and a wrap up of the day's news later on in the evening, UK time. So yeah, come along to the other side of the coin.
There you go. Drogbaba, let the people know where to find you. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, and apologies to the panel, to the viewers for coming on late today. There was a friend in town, so got caught up with him.
Come on, bro.
But yeah, Drogbaba, the channel with the same name, and on Twitter and Instagram you can find me by the name of the Drogbaba. So yeah, same. Not only Chelsea, but I try to cover stuff related to other clubs also, live streams, watch-alongs, whatnot, and of course collaboration with these beautiful people. So yeah,
absolute pleasure.
Absolute
pleasure, guys. It's been a mad episode. Yes, I saw your super chats. We should have had Nini. We should have had anybody in the Chelsea. Listen, there's only 4 of us here in terms of the screen. I only deal with 4 at a time, but if it comes up again, I'm sure to have them on the channel and to have another debate. As you know, I love a good debate, so I'm very interested to kind of get all the perspectives. But I only do 4 at once maximum, because I just don't like the way 5 looks on the screen. It looks awful. Pet peeve of mine. So yeah, until next time, people, big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace.